Sound check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
And he knows as soon as he gives it to her, he's gonna give her his heart to her too.
And we'll have kids and get married.
That's too far.
Holy shit.
It is Christmas Eve. Yeah, it's Christmas Eve. It's December 24th, 2022. My name's Corey Winfield.
My name's Marney Winfield.
And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast, Christmas Eve edition. From the car again.
Yes, coming from the car.
Yeah, and we're driving through I'm going to use the air quotes here, blizzard in Michigan. We're in South Haven right this moment. And we're noticing, like, we could have got an oil change because the oil change place was open here. Gas is $2.69. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We could have tried the Royal Crispy Chicken from Burger King. They're open today. McDonald's was open, which is kind of shocking to me because not only is it Christmas Eve, but it's a blizzard.
Right.
Like, I don't know, man. It seems like they're paying these people like time and a half, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know how that works. But, hey, well, more power to them, and hopefully that they're having a nice, easy Christmas Eve doing their jobs.
And sadly, but expectedly, all the liquor stores are plowed and open.
Oh, yeah. You gotta keep the liquor stores open. And what is ironic is when I was listening to 1310 The Ticket, it's my favorite radio station, only one I really listen to, out of Dallas, Texas, they were talking about liquor and the packaged liquor stores being closed on Christmas and on Monday. And they were saying that there were people trying to fight that law because you can't buy liquor or beer on Sundays in Texas. I know Arkansas was like that too. Michigan, you can buy 7 a.m., baby. Sundays, it don't matter. But in Texas, they were trying to fight that. But it was ironic because the people that were against opening the liquor stores were, in fact, the liquor stores.
Right. They want to have their time off with their families.
Yeah, and they don't want to pay people time and a half. And people are so used to liquor stores being closed on Sundays that everybody, like you did when you lived in Texas and I did and when I lived in Arkansas, you'd stock up before. So if people are already stocking up before, what's the point of being open on Christmas? So you have to pay your employees time and a half to sit around and not really sell much? Or are those people like, oh, I don't want to stock up now, I can get it tomorrow? Like people like us who were hardcore alcoholics, like we knew how to get it. We knew what to do. So, for your average guy who's driving by, oh yeah, I want to get a 6-pack of beer, like that's not us. Like we're stocking up with half gallons and stuff, So it was just interesting to me that it was the actual companies, the liquor stores that were against it. I thought that was weird, but then you start thinking about it, and it makes total sense, really.
And it's one of those sad memory lane kind of things where, that's how my brain worked back then.
Yeah. Well, that was the most important thing to us. It wasn't making sure you had the gift for mom or everything was wrapped and ready to go. No, it was, okay, got to get the liquor first. Then we can head out and do whatever we need to do. That was first, and we don't have to live that way anymore. Thank God. When I woke up today, it's just like I prayed and thanked the Lord for everything that's happened in my life, the good and the bad. I had to go through the bad, and they say this, that you have to go through the darkness to see the light, but to appreciate what I have today, I spent, Christmas we did with my father, and that was the first Christmas I spent with him, and I don't even know, 20, 30 years maybe?
Yeah.
Like, it's insane how long it's been.
That's a true miracle.
And they gave us a card, and I was reading it, and like I got some hot sauce in my eye, started tearing up a little bit.
Happy tears.
Yeah, but they were happy tears, and I just had a lot of happy tears in the last day and a half, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel silly sometimes because we'll just start tearing up and crying, for no reason, and they are happy tears. I'm not sad, but just to know like where my life was. 4 years ago today, I was still in jail.
Yeah.
Waiting for my mom to come get me because I got out on Christmas Eve. And it was like some weekend thing where they had to put an alcohol tether on me. So they weren't going to let me out until I had that. But the way the weekend fell, like I had to spend like 2 extra days in the jail to wait for this tether. And then Christmas Eve, they were only open to like 2 or 3. And so I'm like trying to get in touch with my mom saying, when are you going to come get me? And she's like, I'll be there soon. I'll be there in a little bit. I'll be there. And she starts heading towards the wrong jail because I went to the courthouse in Niles, and that's where they, took me from the court to the jail. They took me in back or whatever, and then they transported me back to St. Joe, Benton Harbor or whatever. And so my mom was, for some reason, thinking that I was in the Niles jail, so she's driving, which is way further for her, than the Benton Harbor, St. Joe. So she was going to the wrong, sorry, I got a frog. She's going to the wrong jail. And I'm like freaking out because they're like, well, the tether guy leaves, and if you don't have that on you, then you're spending Christmas Eve, Christmas, and the day after, however long they were closed, and I'm like, oh no. But I got out and everything was good, and I got my tether on, but that's where I was 4 years ago. And to think about that, and I had no plan. I had no idea what was going on. I hadn't been sentenced yet for my OWI case, so I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going to happen. It's kind of a bunch of nerves, and I remember I asked for a microphone for Christmas, and that's when I got my first microphone that we started the podcast with. Was that, and it was like $30, or maybe they gave me a gift card, and that's what I bought with it. I think maybe that's how it went, but yeah, and I had no idea. I was, like a lot of people out there right now. It's Christmas. And especially in Michigan here, there's a blizzard, pretty much the whole state. And if you're sitting at home, I mean, what an excuse. Sorry, I can't come over. I just got my liquor here with me is going to keep me company, and I just won't answer the phone or whatever you do. And it doesn't take much for your brain to start going down that path of like, hey, this sounds like a good idea. And
yeah,
you're isolated, and
it is a true equation for a disaster. And I got a call from a person who's in the fellowship, and he said he's been getting phone calls from people who have relapsed, that were sober for not a long period of time, and they're like, I don't know what to do. This sucks. Like, what should I do? And the question, when you're faced with that question, it's not like you can fix somebody over the phone, or you can turn it around from where you're at. But what you can do is, encourage that person to, just say, you don't need to keep doing this. Like, whatever you're doing, you don't have to keep doing it. And so I sent out a bunch of emails or texts about, there's meetings online, regardless if it's a snowstorm here and it seems like the world shut down. You can always get online and find a Zoom meeting and hear some individuals, talking about their experience, strength, and hope, and share about what you're going through. You don't have to be 100% sober to get on a Zoom meeting. As long as you can be respectful and function, you're welcome there. So, hop on a Zoom meeting, do whatever you can just to remind yourself that things were better when you were sober, even if they weren't exactly how you wanted them to be. Doing what you're doing and drinking yourself back into the, into the depths of disaster is not the answer.
It's hard to, because once you get in that mindset, but like when you first start drinking, at least I did, that one of those last times, it was like, this isn't fun. My brain lied to me. My brain told me I was going to feel like this, and this buzz was going to be so much better. And then I started drinking. I'm like, this sucks. This isn't what I was told, But of course I kept drinking because I just couldn't stop, But if you can have the willpower to pull yourself out of that, or whatever it is, that's great. Like I said, for me, it was really hard to. And yeah, there are meetings, and if it takes a bunch of meetings, if you're just hitting meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting online, nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
You meet some interesting people. Get some email addresses or whatever you need to do, but there's definitely better options, and you just got to convince yourself that your brain is freaking lying to you, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you have 3 months clean, 6 months clean, 5 years clean, like, you're doing better sober. I mean, nothing ever good ever happened to me when I was drinking.
No.
Nothing ever was better. It was always worse. And then the next day it was even worse because of the stuff that I had said or did. And I was talking to my dad last night, and in 2018, in like April or something like that, I had sent this mean text, and I was drunk. And, I was just throwing out, you did this, you did that, blah, 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 blah. And, that's how I was feeling at that moment. And later, when I did write him a letter to apologize, I didn't apologize for sending him the text. I apologized for how that made him feel. And I let him know that the sober Corey, I think I had 2 years at that time before I sent him that letter, I would have never sent that to him. I would have handled that in a much better manner and better situation. It looks like we're coming up on something that Marney's afraid of here on the road. What's going on? What'd you point at?
Oh, no, I didn't point at anything. I was just seeing the snowdrifts.
Oh, yeah. It's fun. I mean, this is fun. We have all-wheel drive, of course. But that doesn't mean that black ice can't take you off the road. Covert state champs, basketball, 1965, Class D. There's a couple more years on there, too, but I couldn't read them. They're covered in snow. Anyway, yeah, so that's how our trip's going. But when I realized that, though, and then sent that letter to my dad, and we were talking about it last night, and, he said that he was proud of me for reaching out to him. Because I could have just been like, well, I messed up. I sent him a letter that I'm not proud of, or I sent him a text message that I'm not proud of. I'm just never going to talk to him again because he's a jerk. And he didn't reach out to me yet. Mm-hmm. Because when I got out of jail, I remember, because like I said, it was like April when I had sent that text, and then all the other stuff happened in jail again, and so I didn't talk to him in 8 months, and I did send him a text on Christmas, and I said Merry Christmas, and I never got anything back. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of thought, well, all right, man, and I guess that was a half-assed attempt to making up, but he never sent it back, so I was just kind of like, all right, whatever, man. But
I think the other thing, too, is he had no idea where you were really at with things. You have the last interaction or last communication was just this, like, drunken anger, and, to take the chance that, I don't know, is he still in that headspace? Is he still, is he really truly saying Merry Christmas, or, how do I even respond to that? So until you really truly opened up and, took the chance on writing that letter and kind of just saying what's what and where you were at today, I mean, that's where the doors open to your relationship again. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, anybody can do that. Anybody has that same situation, whether it's, close family or your children, like anything. If you take that chance, when things start clearing up and making sense, and you don't have to get into details, but just saying, where you were at and where you're at now are two totally different things, and just see what, where that takes you.
Yeah, and it's not like I just was like, I'm gonna write him a letter. It took me months and months and months to think about what I wanted to put in that letter. Mm-hmm, and then, it took me a minute to write it all and, to get it how I wanted it. And I could have said, oh, sorry that I texted you, Dad, and sorry, but I wasn't, and the fact that I was trying to relay that you can't change the past, and I wasn't perfect, he wasn't perfect, but let's move on from here. Where can we go from here? And I felt, especially with 2 years clean, like a completely different person than when I was drinking and in and out of trying to be sober. And so it was a way different mind frame, mindset. It was all different. And I really started handling things differently, like, I don't want to say normal person, because I know people that are technically normal that would have not handled that correctly. And I don't know. He just told me he was proud of me for, I guess not being the bigger man, but to understand that, no, we can't change the past. I can't take that text back. You can't unread it, but where do we go from here? Mm-hmm. And we still both have, hopefully, a lot of years left. Why would we waste those over something that we can't change, that I'm not proud of, and did everything happen the way he wanted it to? No. And I started also learning that, there's two sides to every story, and maybe I shouldn't hold him or find him guilty in the Corey court of law for stuff that I have no idea about, and there's no sense of trying to point blame at other people either. It's just like, hey, it is what it is. How can I move forward with my life? That truck is stuck. Was that a Ford?
Yes.
Just saying. It was a Ford. That thing was buried. That thing is not getting out anytime soon. But those are things that you learn along the way. And when you start learning stuff like that and you start acting different, pat yourself on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a real accomplishment for you.
I think another piece of that too is that after you put that mail or that letter in the mail, it was like, you didn't know if he was going to respond at all.
Right. And
if he did respond, what he was going to say. And so, that was nerve-wracking for you. I was with you when you were kind of like, ooh, like what is going to be the response? And is there going to be one? But at that point, like, you said your piece, you took responsibility for what you wanted to take responsibility for. And most importantly, you shared, like, this is where I'm at now. Like, this is how I'm doing now. And that's all you could do. That's all you had control of, and from there, the rest was kind of like, it was God's will, and we're completely grateful that he responded how he did. And, we ended up, and now we just spent a holiday with them. It's a nice family holiday, which is completely a blessing. So
yeah, he moved back from Arizona, to Michigan, and
none of that would have happened if you wouldn't have sent that letter. I bet you anything.
He probably would have moved back to Michigan, but
no, I know, but like, what kind of interaction would there have been? Like, how I guarantee you, like, the whole butterfly effect, I highly doubt it would have been in that home, celebrating Christmas.
Yeah. I remember you were worried. Well, not worried, but you were, like, throwing it out there, like, are you ready? And if you want, you can go back to 2020 and listen to the podcast right around now. So I think I sent it around Christmas, maybe a little after Christmas. But you'll hear me talking about it. I think one of them might even be titled "The Letter," or response to the letter. I was talking about it on the podcast, because the podcast helps me, helps me process things and helps me talk. And I remember you were like, "Are you prepared? If things don't go how you want it to, or if he doesn't answer, or maybe are you prepared for that?" And I wasn't sure, but I kind of was like, well, yeah, I kind of had to be.
Right.
Just kind of open to, is he going to be like, hey, yeah, son, everything's great? Or is he not going to respond? Is he going to tell me off for sending him that letter, or send him that text, where's it going to go and what's it going to be? But again, I started learning too in sobriety, like, don't freak out about things that haven't happened yet.
Right. And
take them as they come. And I think that really kind of helped me, like, ground myself and prepare myself. Like, this is going to go any direction.
Yeah.
Don't freak out if it doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
And I think you were real crucial and kind of helped me understand that too. And that all kind of went into the letter and me writing it. But, those relationships that you think that you screwed up so bad that you can't come back from, like, that's not true. And man, maybe there are some that you can't come back from, and that's fine too, because you are where you're at today. And, not all relationships can be repaired. I mean, there's people that I told off or said things to that I'm not going to send a letter to.
Right. And the important piece too here is that was 100% obviously a relationship worth salvaging.
Yeah.
Worth taking the chance on, and the potential of what it could be. I mean, we're not saying write letters to people that are unhealthy for you or that are not going to be beneficial to have back in your life, right? Like, but this was a whole different thing, and it turned out to have a beautiful resolve.
Yeah. And I had some Tabasco hot sauce in my eye and happy tears. That was good. And your family, we're going over there. My great grandma was killed right here. Ran a stop sign. Still not. I know that is horrible theater of the mind for people listening, but we just passed her. Never got to meet her. That was my mom's grandma. She was going to my mom's dance recital, actually. So
This is the play-by-play that you get when you're doing podcasts on the road.
It makes no sense to anybody, but the snow, it looks pretty. There's a lot of it, but we're making it there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
But your family, though, like, are you excited to go there?
I am. I mean, it's everything with this blizzard. It's almost like ever since COVID, it's like the unpredictability of people showing up for things that were planned has kind of like multiplied on what the chances are of that actually materializing. And it's like you kind of have to be okay with it, and my mom was even saying, like, I don't even know if your brother's going to make it down from where he is right now because he's in the Sioux and, with his wife's family. So,
Sault Ste. Marie?
Yeah.
Oh, he'll be fine.
So it is what it is. And we're just kind of like one step at a time, one day at a time. And, so we're hoping to visit with them for the day after Christmas. So get back to our kitties and...
Want to hear another crazy story about this road?
Sure.
There's a dead end sign right like back there. Like if you're driving on the road and you see like a sign like, hey, here's a turn, the big yellow signs. Well, there was a guy riding his motorcycle, and I think he was around my sister's age. So he's like 10 years younger than me, 10, 12 years younger than me. But anyway, he thought it'd be a good idea to reach out and touch the sign. Oh. And it ripped his arm off.
Oh my God.
True story. Look it up. That's what's up. You gotta be careful. So if you're riding a motorcycle thinking, hey, this would be a great idea to smack that sign.
Don't.
I don't know why you think that, because, but no, it'll rip your arm off, just saying. A lot of memories in this road. They're all bad ones, this road around now, like literally.
Yeah.
Like, nothing but bad memories. Yeah. So we're coming into my hometown of Coloma now. This is more of like, they call it Hager Township or whatever, but not really Hager, but yeah, we're going past Little Pawpaw Lake. And some of these memories, like, when you go back home, if you live away or whatever, and you come back home to your old stomping grounds, you're like, oh, I used to buy weed from that guy, or I used to drink over there, or whatever, like, don't let that intimidate you to think that you can't go past there again,
Just keep on driving.
Yeah, just don't stop by there. Like, that's where a lot of meth people live, right there. Meth, don't ever try it. If you've never tried it, don't. I'm just saying. This public service announcement. And drive slow in blizzards. That's my other one.
There you go.
But, yeah. I don't know if that was a happy Christmas Eve podcast or not.
We're a little all over the place, but...
Yeah, I'm driving. It's blizzard.
And we wanted to get one done. So.
Yeah, proud of myself, because a lot of people wouldn't do a podcast when they're driving in a blizzard. Wussies. And I want to give a shout out to my boy Adam. Adam Brothers.
2 years, right?
Yeah, Adam Brothers he said a little over 2 years, and he was telling a story on his podcast that he had a 2-year coin, and then he relapsed, but his daughter ended up having the coin. Well, she's going to see him at Christmas and bring that same coin back to him. Aww. So he's kind of pumped that he's getting that coin back. And for him, there's a lot of meaning in that. And Adam's doing great. He and his significant other started a podcast, and he had sent me a picture of a mixing board that they got as a Rodecaster Pro, which we got, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years maybe. Mm-hmm. We got it a while ago, but yeah, it makes a difference, and he was all excited about that, and they did a podcast with it, and he was pretty pumped about it, and it sounded really good too. So just want to give him a shout out and tell him again, congrats on the 2 years, and congrats on starting something, and he's kind of like me. Like, are we trying to reach 1 million people with our podcast? Nah, we're doing it for us, and it keeps us sober, and more power to him.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he says, and him and his
Sean,
him and his, I don't want to say old lady, but him and his girlfriend, like the stuff that they share is different than the stuff we share, but it's not, because it's from the heart, and it's them telling stories. Like, they were talking about Christmas and memories on Christmas, and Adam was talking about, how he remembered, always being drinking around when he was young, and he didn't start drinking stuff at that time, but he just remembers like there was always drinking around. And he also remembers when his mom got sober. He said she was sober for about 10 years and how different it was.
Yeah.
You know, what a better Christmas it was. So it was interesting, you know. So if you want some more podcasts, you know, you can listen to 739 of our episodes plus this one. Or, you know, if you want to check out Adam's, it's called the Stone Soup Recovery Podcast, you know, and check them out. And maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but, you know, give them a listen and see if that's something you can relate to. And if you want to listen to our next episode, we'd appreciate that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We might do it from the road, or we might do it from our studio or our road studio. Who knows? Got options now. But thanks for listening, and have a Merry Christmas with your family, and do your best to be sober and to have your best Christmas, you know?
Yeah. Everyone have a safe holiday, and we'll see you next time.